Let's talk about how anti-vaxxers have less than a first grade understanding of science and how they have no clue how to interpret data. And we're going to do so using this comment. Ben Dowd-Arrow, 6 in 10 U.S. COVID deaths for vaccinated Muppet. Now, he's trying to make the claim that there were higher rates of deaths among the vaccinated than the unvaccinated because 6 in 10 deaths were vaccinated. Let's break this down and show why he has no idea what he's talking about. Now, he, like many anti-vaxxers, is committing something that we call the base rate fallacy. The base rate fallacy is a flaw in logical reasoning where a person ignores relevant information in favor of irrelevant information. In this case, the 6 out of 10 people dying from COVID being vaccinated is irrelevant information. In order to understand whether or not a person has a higher risk of dying from COVID, whether they're vaccinated or not, we need to know the populations of people who are vaccinated and the populations of people who are unvaccinated. Now, rather than do math with the 320 million Americans and breaking it down into who was vaccinated and who was not, let's just look at a very simple number. Let's just take a population of 60 people. Let's say that's the entire population, and a disease has broken out among that population. Now, when this illness breaks out, there is a vaccine that can help prevent people from becoming infected and potentially dying from the disease. So let's look at what happens once the disease breaks out. Now, the disease is broken out and a news headline leaks and says half the people who died were vaccinated. So we can see 10 people died, half of the people who died were vaccinated. And that seems huge. 50% of the people who died were vaccinated. That seems important. But now we need to really know how many people were vaccinated and how many people were not vaccinated to find out, is being vaccinated, does it actually matter? Does it prevent the disease? Does it keep people from dying from the disease? So when we actually look at the population, we find out that 10 people were not vaccinated in that population and 50 people were vaccinated. What this means is that your rate of dying from the disease was lower if you were vaccinated than if you were unvaccinated. Because you can see half the people who are unvaccinated died from the illness, whereas only 10% of the people who were vaccinated died from the illness. This is just how vaccines work. This is how we can tell whether or not something was effective. And what we found with COVID was being vaccinated saved your life. In fact, being unvaccinated increased the odds of dying from COVID by 2.46 times. So yeah, the next time that someone who is anti-science, especially anti-vaxxers, tries to use that kind of bullshit to make it seem like that the vaccinated died at higher rates, show them this video.